Hey everyone, welcome to Trail Therapy. I am Colt, and today we're going to start the Overland build. This is my 2023 GMC Canyon, and this is the first video in a whole series of turning this into an Overland vehicle for traveling, for camping, for going out and experiencing the trails. So if you're into that sort of thing, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell next to the subscribe tab so you get notified when I put up new videos. But it is a balmy 35 degrees out, so we're gonna go inside and discuss tires and wheels. So when deciding on what wheels and tires to go, you have to decide what is important to you. Now, what was important to me is weight, larger diameter, the largest diameter that I could fit under the truck. They say big tires make small holes, and that's what I want. I didn't care so much about the width. I didn't really care about maximizing my width. However, I did want the tallest tire that I could fit under the truck, and I wanted it to be as light as humanly possible. And I plan on airing down a whole bunch. So that led me to Method race wheels. Their bead grip technology it just seems to be like, if you're gonna air down and you're not on bead locks, it seems like it's just the best thing out there. Feel free to disagree down in the comments. Now, I also wanted the tire to poke out a little bit. I didn't want it to be super out from the truck, but I did want it to sit out from the wheel well. I feel like the way that it looked stock, they just look a bit anemic when there's like several inches. The wheel is like several inches inside the wheel well from the actual fender. So I wanted it to at least be flush, preferably poke a little bit. So all of those things together landed me on the Method 703 race wheels with the bead grip. My last car was blue with bronze wheels. I didn't want the exact same color scheme for this truck, so I decided to go with black, the matte black, because matte black everything always looks good. So these are a 17:9 -12 offset. Now the -12 will set the wheel a lot further out than the stock wheels, plus the additional ½ width on this new wheel versus the old wheel. I scoured the internet for the very lightest wheel. In stock form, these wheels and tires that came off this truck weigh 65 pounds. I know there's no chance I'm gonna get a much bigger, beefier wheel and tire set that also weighs 65 pounds, but my objective was to go the least amount over that as I possibly could while satisfying the bigger tire and the more poke, more aggressive tires, etc. So we've got the Nitto Ridge Grappler 285/75/17s in the 6-ply version, the C load rating, and they are 65.5 pounds. So the first thing I do when I get the wheels in is I unbox one of them and I stick it on a scale, because I'm just curious. Like, I want to make sure all the way through this process that I'm meeting the criteria that I set out for myself when it comes to sourcing these wheels and tires. They weigh 30 pounds. However, they're the right look, they're the right size, they do have the bead grip, they're exactly what I wanted, and they were, even by my own weight, when I weighed them myself, they're still one of the very lightest options out there in this size. And I looked at a bunch of different brands and a bunch of different styles. At 30 pounds are still some of the very lightest wheels at this size that I could find. So, is what it is. Onto the truck they go. So the first thing is to do a test fitment, so that way you can make sure it clears the brakes. Now this truck came with an 18-inch wheel, and I'm dropping down to 17s, and so the very first thing before mounting a tire on, I wanted to make sure that it cleared the brakes. Because that's a bad day. I have no interest in shaving my brake calipers down. So did the test fitment, fit great. I will say that at this point I'm starting to get a little nervous about how much poke the wheel is gonna have, because on the test fitment, the face of the wheel is exactly lined up with the fender. And I know that the tire is gonna stick out at least an inch or inch and a half on both sides of the wheel. So this is maybe a little wider, a little bit more poke than I initially wanted, but we're only talking a difference of maybe a ½ inch here, because I was back and forth between a -12 offset wheel and a 0 offset wheel. A 0 would have pushed the wheel a ½ inch further back into the wheel well. A ½ inch is not gonna make or break anything for me, and the test fitment was a success. So the tires I got from Trail Built Off-Road, and they are in my storage unit, so we're gonna go pick those up and go get them mounted. Well, I'd like to keep it local. I'd like to use local mom and pop shops if I could. I called 3 off-road shops that are local to me here in Nashville. And one of them, the first one, said they were 2.5 weeks wait to mount and balance 4 tires. Not even put them on the car, just mount and balance. The second shop was 1.5 weeks, and the third shop was a week. So as much as I hate to, we're going discount tire, I guess. Well, I hope this isn't a mistake. Okay, so with the wheels and the tires together, they weigh 93 pounds. So once I got the wheels and tires mounted, came back home to put them on. Now I didn't want the shop to do this because I just had a feeling that there would probably be some rubbing. I really did not expect there to be as much rubbing as there was. Okay, so the first thing I want to do here is I want to measure the ground clearance in several different spots, and I'm going to redo this for every time I make a mod to the truck. I just kind of want to keep track of like how things are changing and how much ground clearance I'm actually gaining here. So totally stock, put the tires on, redo it. All right, here we go. 17.5 inches off the bumper, or off the hitch. We're gonna go right in the door seam to the frame, 13.5 inches. We've got 9.5 inches right to the bolt on the plastic skid plate on the front. Probably should do the differential. And we've got 9.5 inches to the differential. It's starting to rain though. So in the name of not getting my camera wet, I'm gonna leave the camera in the garage here, and we're gonna test fit the front first, because I wanna make sure when I turn all the way, there's no rubbing before I put all 4 of these on. Let's do the test fit on the front. Well, I'm kind of freaking out, you guys, because they rub way harder than I expected. Like, they won't even go lock to lock. It feels like I'm gonna rip something out. So I kind of wondered if we'd have to start trimming. I think I'm gonna have to trim really aggressively, and I'm not really looking forward to that. So pull out the Dremel. We'll see how much I gotta cut out of this thing. I cut as much out of the wheel wells as I felt like doing because it's a brand new truck. I don't want to just absolutely mangle this thing for the sake of wheels and tires. It definitely felt uncomfortable taking a brand new 2023 truck that had 1,600 miles on it and just starting to carve stuff out of the underneath of it. I know some of you watching probably have done this to vehicles, and to some people it's probably not a big deal at all. But this is the most expensive vehicle I've ever bought in my life. This was not a cheap truck, and I barely got over 1,000 miles on it, and we're cutting it all up. So the big question is, can I cut enough out of it to make it not rub at all at stock height? So after a bunch of time with a Dremel and just not getting far enough, I ended up moving over to a box cutter. And the plastic is actually soft enough with the box cutter to just be able to just pull it from the inside and just shave stuff away. And that actually worked way better than the Dremel. I took as much as I possibly feel comfortable out of this truck, out of the inside of the wheel well, without having to really carve into stuff that is gonna make it look weird or allow more dirt and stuff to get around up in there. She's still rubbing. It rubs pretty good. It's drivable, but it's still rubbing. More on that in a minute, but for now, let's take a look at the truck with the tires on. We got to go back to Discount Tire so they can program the tire pressure sensors. Side note, Discount Tire doesn't love it when you bring in your own wheels and tires, because you walk in there and they're usually like, "How you doing today? Thanks for coming in." And then I was like, "Hey, I got some wheels and tires to mount up." And they're like, "Did you buy them from us?" And I'm like, "No." And then the dude's attitude just totally changed. He was not happy at all. And I'm pretty sure they charged me like double or more for the tire pressure sensors than had I bought the tires from them. Because the last time I had wheels and tires put on there and I bought tire pressure sensors, they were like 25 bucks a piece. These were $60 a piece. And I even asked the guy, I'm like, "I feel like this is a lot more expensive than last time." He's like, "Did you buy the tires from us last time?" I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "That's why." You gotta be kidding me, really? I don't even know if that's legal. Anyway, so we gotta go up there. We got to have them program the tire pressure sensors, and then we'll wrap this whole thing up. So I'm driving along on my way to Discount Tire to get these sensors programmed, and all of a sudden the tire pressure light just goes off, and I'm like, well, that's kind of peculiar. Why would it have just went off? And so I swipe over to the screen that shows my tire pressure, and look at that. The truck automatically knew that there were different tire pressure sensors. It automatically connected to the new ones, and oh, wife's calling. And it automatically recalibrated everything, so I don't need them reprogrammed. That's cool. This is the first car that I've ever had that would do that. Every car I've ever had that had tire pressure sensors, I had to go get them programmed afterwards, after putting them on the car. Well done, GMC. Well done. Well, there it is, 34's on a GMC Canyon. There's definitely still some rubbing. It rubs at full lock in either direction. What's interesting is it's only rubbing on the outside edge of the tire here, and here. And so I think if I would have went with a 0 offset, it may not have rubbed because it would have pushed the tire in just a little bit more. I have a 2-inch, 1-inch leveling kit coming from Level Up Suspension. So it'll raise the truck 2 inches in the front and 1 inch in the back. And I'm pretty sure that that'll be enough to do it. It's fully drivable and you can steer in every way, but it does still rub when you're at full lock in either direction. So for now, this is where it sits. Make sure you subscribe so you can follow along with the build, and we'll get this lift kit on probably here in the next couple weeks, and hopefully that solves it. But for now, I'm very happy with how it looks. It looks absolutely incredible, so really pumped on that. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.